All right, hey, welcome back. This is episode 7 of the Agents Unleashed podcast, the show that helps you to sort the signal from the noise in the fast-paced world of agentic AI. I'm your host, Thomas Maybrier, and I'm the digital media producer for Valerie. Valerie is one of the core contributors to Olas, and if you haven't heard of Olas or you haven't heard of Agents Unleashed, let me quickly take a moment to tell you a little bit about both. So, Olas is the best way for anyone to own and monetize their AI agent. That includes people just like you. You can learn more about how to do that at olas.network. And Agents Unleashed isn't just a podcast. It's also the premier event series for people interested in AI agents. Events have been held all over the world with over 77 speakers and presenters and more than 2,500 in-person attendees. The next Agents Unleashed event has recently been announced. It'll be held June 30th in Cannes in France. RSVPs are currently open. You can learn more about how to secure your ticket, watch recordings of previous talks at olas.network/agents-unleashed, or check out the show notes for the link to just grab a ticket today. I would say you should definitely do that now because previous events have been jam-packed. Okay, so on today's episode, I want to share two very interesting developments from the world of agentic AI. The first of them is a state-of-the-art text-to-video plus audio model from Google called VO3. I'm sure you may have already heard of it. And the other is a brand new open-source framework for building autonomous AI agents. There's a lot to cover with both of these, so let's get right into it. So if you've been on social media at all this week, I'm sure you've seen these viral clips generated by Google's new VO3 text-to-video to audio model. It does some really incredible stuff, and that's why it's made such a splash. What this model can do puts it head and shoulders above its competition, and the results, especially when combined with other tools, are really impressive. Now, if we rewind back to about a year ago, you will probably remember that OpenAI debuted their text-to-video model Sora with some incredibly impressive clips like this one. I must have watched this particular clip like 10 times, looking for some kind of tell that it was AI generated, and it was extremely difficult. However, it was a long time before this model got into the hands of us end users. That actually happened at around the end of last year. For those of us in Europe, I think it was a little bit later than that. But I've actually been using Sora recently, and I would say that it's a very good model. Sometimes it is, a little difficult to get knockout results like those in the demo, but it's still a really powerful model that at the time really pushed the whole space forward, and I think for many people was the moment where they really started to pay attention to this kind of model and what it's capable of. Like I said, Sora is a really powerful model, but it does one thing. It takes text and turns it into video. It can also do images, but that's pretty much it. VO3, on the other hand, is different in some very important ways. Not only do the videos look better than pretty much anything we've seen before, even from other really strong contenders like Runway ML, Kling, Luma, it has some really innovative features like its ability to generate synchronized sound, audio, and sound effects at the same time it generates the video. It's an incredibly capable model, and when it does things well, the results are very impressive. I'm going to put some of the clips up on screen while we're talking so you can see what it's capable of. As I think is obvious from these clips, VO3 is a state-of-the-art model. I think it's probably the most advanced model of its kind, particularly in terms of the quality of the generation, and like I said, this multimodal capability of producing synchronized audio and sound effects at the same time the video is generated. Literally no one else has been doing it like this before, and the results are very impressive. Google also offers VO3 inside of their Flow tool, which is designed for generative filmmaking. It offers some controls around tweaking the generations, the framing, tone, transitions, that sort of thing. For what it's worth, Sora does also offer some of these filmmaking type tools, and I believe Runway does as well. I can tell you from experience that Sora has some options that allow you to make changes, like the ability to connect clips and transitions, and a storyboard feature. It's a little bit more like a non-destructive editor for film or video, like Adobe Premiere or Final Cut Pro, than the straightforward one-shot generation that you may be used to if you've asked any of the larger LLMs for images, for example, ChatGPT or Grok. So VO3 is not free. It's available through a Google AI Ultra subscription, and I believe the absolute lowest price you're going to pay for that is about $250 a month. With that subscription, you're getting access to VO3, but also some other tools like Flow and access to Gemini 2.5 Pro Deep Think mode. Another thing worth mentioning is that generating videos on VO3 comes with a usage-based charge system. You get some credits for free, but if you want to go above those credits, you do pay for them. To generate an 8-second video is going to run you about $3 depending on the features and settings that you choose to use. So there's two really interesting things about this model that I want to talk about today. One is the pace of innovation that it represents. It's worth pointing out that we're only 2 years away from the viral Will Smith eating spaghetti video that I'm sure you've seen. This is the original clip that went viral about 2 years ago, and a comparison of an updated version generated by VO3. There's only 2 years between these clips. The difference is obviously huge. These models are gaining capabilities and functionality at a really impressive rate. By the way, if you're listening to the audio version of the show, you're not going to be able to see these, so I would encourage you to check out the episode on X or YouTube or Spotify if you want to watch the video, and you can see these examples that I'm putting up on screen. So, like I said before, the pace of innovation. We're seeing the really big players in AI make really quick advancements, and what I think that means is that the open source alternatives can't be far behind, because that's another trend that we've seen recently. When the big players bring out these state-of-the-art models with their super impressive results, we've been seeing open source solutions come in right on their heels. With the theme of the show, I think that's obviously something that I and presumably you are excited by. So whether the models are open or closed source, the ability to create media like this with AI is going to have some consequences, both positive and negative. It's obviously very difficult to predict when, where, and the degree to which we will see these effects, but we can talk about a few of them now and get ourselves thinking about them. So right now, as I mentioned before, VO3 is not cheap. The subscription cost is high. The generations cost money. But I think with economies of scale, we can expect to see that price go down, probably significantly over the next couple of years. Knock-on effects from models like this, well, we're probably going to see them in film, television, advertising, and also this growing field of generative AI that's created specifically for social media. Now, that last part, whether that's good or not, is definitely up for debate, but we're definitely going to see big changes in these spaces and in the future of work more broadly, which is a theme that we've returned to often in past episodes of the show. There's also questions about democratization and accessibility. As I mentioned a few times, VO3 is gated behind a relatively high paywall. In addition to the cost, there's also going to be restrictions around geography. For example, if you're in a sanctioned country, you're not going to have access to the payment methods required to pay for these things, maybe even not have access to the model itself. There's also going to be safety features built into these models where it's going to refuse to generate certain things. Decentralized and open source solutions are going to be an essential counterbalance to these restrictions, so that's one area of development I'm going to be watching very closely. Verifiability and authenticity are also somewhat threatened by this ultra-realistic media creation that's possible with tools like this. I think we can expect to see some cultural norms shift as a result of tools like this, especially when it comes to talking and thinking about what we see and hear online and in other spaces as well. In a sense, tools like this could have a devaluing effect on certain creative formats like film, short-form video, but there's also the authenticity premium that I think is already emerging. This is the idea that as AI-generated media proliferates, people will seek out experiences that feel more authentically human to them, whether that's knowing that a piece of film or media was made completely without the use of generative AI, or experiences that prioritize real-life, in-person, human-to-human connection. This is all very complex, and it's definitely worth considering, especially right now in these early stages, how end users, consumers like you and I, can find a way to have a stake of both sides of this emerging market. Whatever direction this goes in, this is definitely a very interesting and exciting time to be using AI tools, that is for sure. All right, moving on. So if VO3 represents the centralized paradigm for access to AI tools, here's a dispatch from the other side. First, some background. So Intelligent Internet is an organization that envisions a decentralized, user-centric digital ecosystem where AI agents can operate transparently and collaboratively. They recently announced their AI Agent, which is an open source intelligent AI agent framework. It's designed to provide AI assistance as productivity tools across a variety of domains. It's basically an agentic framework for Anthropic's Claude model. So the framework supports a wide range of use cases like research, fact-checking, content generation, data analysis, software development, problem solving, so on. They say that the workflow is built to be both flexible and powerful, and their results on benchmarks definitely speak for themselves. It got some great scores on the GAIA benchmark, which is a way of evaluating how well AI agents perform at certain solutions-oriented tasks. The AI agent demonstrated strong performance, particularly in tasks that required complex reasoning, tool use, multi-step planning. I'll put a graphic of those benchmarks up on screen here so you can check it out. The AI agent is the purple line in this graph. So what's especially exciting about this project is that it represents another open source alternative in a space that is rapidly centralizing, that is to say, AI agent frameworks for building assistants. Intelligent AI agent assistants, they're not ubiquitous yet, but are likely, in my opinion, to be one of the first areas where we do see agentic AI reaching mass adoption, especially if the centralized players really get it right. That's why it's really important that we have open source frameworks and alternatives like AI agent that give the public and developers more options to choose from. Being open source also means that the project can grow organically. Developers can build on top of it, create new extensions, new functionality, maybe even fork it. And ideally, this would spark a virtuous cycle where the framework continues to evolve through the contributions of the community. In terms of architecture and features, the AI agent has most of what you would expect from an LLM agent framework. It can run code, handle multiple modalities like PDF, audio, and images. Slides are one example that the co-founder Emad mentions in his intro video. The framework also has a way to manage the history of your interactions with the model. This is important for what's called context management. When you have really long interactions or you're generating long outputs, this helps the model stay on track and give you the results that you're looking for. The agent does have a browser-based front end, but for the more technical among you, it's also possible to interact with it from the command line. So I know that's going to be quite relevant to a lot of the developers in the audience. Personally, I'm really excited to see how this project develops. I think it's a major win for open source AI in general, and it fits nicely with the vision of agentic AI ownership that Olas puts forth. To give you some examples of what I mean by that, so an agent built with AI agent could be a user of the Olas Mech Marketplace, which is a decentralized marketplace where agents can offer and sell services to each other. You could use the Mech Marketplace to expand the functionality of your AI agent-based agent, or alternatively, your agent could be providing its tools to other agents through the marketplace. You could also bring an AI agent into the Olas ecosystem through the Olas SDK, which would give you access to the protocol's features like proof of active agent staking, which helps you to incentivize people to run your agent. You might even be eligible for developer rewards depending on what your agent does and how you register it on the protocol. Another possible pathway would be through the Olas Accelerator program, which is a tiered program for teams that want to bring an AI agent to Perl, the agent app store application that makes it super simple for users to run and own different kinds of AI agents. As of today, May 29th, the accelerator is almost full, but if you want to put yourself in the running for up to $100,000 of funding to bring your AI agent to life, you can check out details about how to do that in the description box or show notes. So in my view, the expansion of open source frameworks for building agents like this is incredibly bullish for the future of agentic AI and the Olas ecosystem more broadly. If you've tried AI Agent, you've built something with it, I would love to hear from you. What have you created with it? What does it do? Yeah, get in touch. I personally would love to hear about it. Okay, so once again, we've covered a lot of ground, so we'll wrap up episode 7 of the show here. From my perspective, it's clear that agentic AI is not slowing down anytime soon, so this is the best possible time for you to get familiar with these tools, learn how to use them, and also start thinking about how you could have a stake in the agentic AI of the future. So if this episode sparked any ideas in you, if you got any questions or comments for me, please reach out. I am at Thomas Maybrier on X. I'd love to hear from you. As always, you can find links to everything that we talked about in the description box or the show notes. And don't forget to RSVP for the Agents Unleashed event in Cannes. It's on June 30th, so it's right around the corner. Before we go, I want to make sure I remind you, hey, subscribe to the show. And if you like this episode, leave a comment, a thumbs up. And if you have any friends, colleagues, coworkers who you think should hear the show, definitely send them a link to this episode. We'd love to have them on board. All right, we'll leave it here. Thank you for listening. This has been the Agents Unleashed podcast, and I'll see you next time.